What's up, everyone? I'm CO Connolly, and today I've got it. It's the Shunning of Disciples cover. There it is. So, finally got it in. There's a whole story behind this. Okay, so I've been publishing with Lightning Source since 2012. Lightning Source was before Ingram Spark. It's the same company. Ingram Spark came out somewhere 2015, 2016, I believe. So I had Lightning Source first, and it kept telling me, I kept getting the emails that said, hey, you need to switch over, go to Ingram, it's so much better, yada, yada, yada. And I'm all like, I don't want to go to Ingram Spark because I have a specific person I can email whenever I have issues. That's just how I thought about it. Yeah, okay, sure. The problem was, though, is that when I published this one earlier in the year, okay, after I approved the digital proof, I waited 2 weeks. Then I sent an email and said, hey, where's my proof? Immediately after I sent that email, well, not immediately, like a couple hours after I sent that email, I received a shipping notification that it shipped. And then it ended up being delivered the next day. And then the day after it got delivered, I got an email that says, oh, it shows it got delivered. Shit. Because after I said, hey, by the way, where the hell's my proof that I paid $35 for? It shipped. So thanks, guys. Okay. So I was a little upset about that, but I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a one-off. No big deal. Okay, fine. Fast forward to June. I approved my digital proof. I waited 2 weeks. And then I was like, where's my physical proof? Hello? So I sent an email. I waited 3 days. I sent another email. Hello? Where's my proof? That's when I finally got an email because now I got 2 tickets open. And they're like, you have 2 tickets open. We're going to go ahead and merge these. I'm like, that's fine, but where is my proof? I'll figure it out. Yeah. 2 hours later, I get the shipping notification. It shows up the next day. I get another email saying, hey, by the way, it's delivered. Thanks. So when I went to go do shunning, and I had all that problem trying to get everything uploaded because apparently the internet connection isn't very good anywhere, I ended up having to go to the Jeep dealership where I actually bought my Jeep, and I sat in their waiting area, which they were fine with because they know what I do. So I sat in my waiting area, 20 minutes, in and out, done. I went to the coffee shop in town for 2 days, and then I was like, no, this is too expensive. So then I drove all the way over, like an hour into a bigger town. I don't really know if you can call Katy a city, but I drove all the way over there to go to my husband's work to use his Wi-Fi, and that didn't work. I took Thursday off, and then Friday I went over to the dealership, 20 minutes in and out. Boop. Okay, Shunning of Disciples has been submitted. Awesome. I approved the digital proof, and then I waited 2 weeks. Where's my physical proof? Oh, rewind. Wednesday, when I went to my husband's work, that week of me trying to submit it, I went ahead and switched over to Ingram because I found out that there was no uploading fee for the files and stuff like that. Well, for me, on Lightning Source, it cost me $85 to upload my files, right? Or it's like $80. So I think it's $40 per file. So I went ahead and switched over because I was like, oh, that's free. And all I have to pay is the $35 for my proof. I still had to wait 2 weeks, send an email and say, where's my proof? And this time I was really pissed off. I was like, look, it says rush service. Normally it takes me 2 days. I approve the digital proof on Wednesday. The physical proof ends up shipping the same day. I receive it by Friday. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. I have 4 5, 6. I have 6 other books to prove it. 6 other books to prove. I can submit my book on Monday, get my digital proof by Wednesday, have it approved, shipped, and my physical proof comes in on Friday. That's how it has worked for 6 other books. But for these, for some reason, no, it didn't work that way. I was waiting 2 weeks for each one of these proofs. And finally, in my last email, I was like, hey, by the way, if you're going to offer rush service and there's an issue, at least communicate with me, please, because this is the 3rd time this year I've had an issue getting a proof that I paid you $35 for this book. This is the reason why my books are very special to me, because they are the ones that cost me the most money. So these are mine and nobody can touch them. Nobody can have them. Oh my God. It was frustrating. And of course, this time when I sent the email, it just shipped within like 2 hours after I sent the email. And it was overnighted. It wasn't, I received it like next day. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. So when I got the response email the day after it was delivered, it says, I can understand how frustrating this is, but it shows it was delivered. No shit, it shows it was delivered, because after I sent that email, you shipped it. Let me tell you, I will never go with another publisher, so I will always go with Ingram Spark, but I will always go, and now it's Ingram Spark because I've switched over and I don't know if I can go back to Lightning Source. It doesn't matter. It's cheaper for me to go through Ingram Spark anyway. Plus I have the option to order ARCs, which, by the way, I got to tell you, it was like the weirdest thing ever to see when I switched over to Ingram. I was like, oh, I've never had the option to order ARCs before. Apparently Lightning Source doesn't give you that option. There was a lot of stuff that I kept seeing other YouTubers and stuff were like posting for their Ingram Spark thing. And I was like, my screen does not look like that, because I was on Lightning Source. Now my screen looks like that, so I can see it. And I'm going, okay. Now I see what they were looking at. I'm frustrated. I will never go with KDP. That's all I have to say about it. I will never go with KDP. But I will say that I've never had a problem with the customer service. Yes, I am frustrated at this point because they send me an email and go, hey, it looks like it was delivered. And I'm going, no shit, because I already said, hey, where's my shit? And then it delivered, then it shipped. So you wait until it delivers before you go, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Yeah, now that I've had to go, where is it? And you're like, oh, okay. So my biggest issue with the first time that this happened was this one. I approved the digital proof. And like I said, because I've had 6 other books get published through them, as soon as I approved the digital proof, I went in there and said, clickety clack, order me a stock. The stock ordered or shipped and was on its way before my proof. I was so pissed. I was like, no, I need to have my physical proof in my hand before I receive my stock. This is not fair. That's what I was pissed about with that one. So anyway, cover reveal. My Shunning of Disciples. My husband is amazing, by the way. He actually held on to, it was so disgusting. So this thing he's got here. Okay. So it was I pulled some fiberfill. So I pulled some fiberfill to make this long intestine looking thing. Here's the problem. I used all of the fake blood that I had here at the house, which sucks. So I used all of the fake blood that I had. And all it did was literally bead up inside that fiberfill and kind of roll off. So the extra linoleum flooring, or vinyl flooring is what they call it now. The vinyl flooring that I have, that I use for scrap so I don't get blood on my actual floor, that fake blood, that vinyl flooring was soaked in that fake blood. And I was like, great, because it didn't stick to the item I wanted it to. I didn't know fiberfill was like water repellent. But anyway, so I had to think of something else. Well, when I posted on Facebook, because a lot of the people I have on Facebook also do like a lot of horror things. So I got great ideas. So someone had said something about tissue paper, and then someone else said biscuits, like the canned biscuits, and food coloring. And I was like, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do both because I don't think the biscuits will stick to the fiberfill. but maybe the biscuits will stick to the tissue paper. Plus, I had a can of some like croissant rolls that were expired by like a year. But that's because last year I found out that I could no longer eat gluten. So they just got left in there. So I had a thing of biscuits. They weren't bad or anything. Like when I opened them up, they didn't smell bad. They just smelled like expired beer. And if you've ever smelled expired beer, it basically just smells like bread. So I used to work at a place where we had to get rid of all the expired beer. So I know what it smells like. It literally smells like bread. So it kind of had that same yeasty smell. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I opened up this can of biscuits and I like spread it on there. If you've looked on my Instagram, I do have a picture of it on my Instagram, just this long intestine looking thing. It is not only covered in fake blood, then tissue paper, which by the way, when I squeezed the tissue paper onto it, it's like whatever fake blood was still beaded in there was like oozing from it. So the tissue paper got some of that. And then I put these biscuits every so often to cover up whatever extra fiberfill was poking through of the tissue paper. So that was covered over it. And then I just like squeezed red food coloring all over it, right? Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was a disaster. I laid down wax paper on my countertop, but as soon as I picked it up, it was still on my countertop. Like the food coloring went straight through the wax paper. It's all over my countertop. And my husband goes, uh-oh. And it only took me 2 days of consistently cleaning my counter to not get the red pulling up off my counter. 2 days. I have a cleaning spray that is like made of plant material so that if the dogs were to lick it, it's okay. And that's only because for some reason my dog likes to lick the floor. Anyway, everything that goes on my floors is basically pet safe because my dog likes to lick the floor. I don't know why. But anyway, so that's exactly what he's got here in his hands. And he's kneeling down in the dirt. I did cut his shirt a few times. I should have put more blood on there, but for some reason it seemed like the blood itself was no longer adhering to that shirt. Now the shirt that he had on was something that it looked like he got paint on it or something like that. So I have a feeling that paint itself was starting to wick away the blood because it was just beating up and like rolling off of the shirt. It wasn't actually, and I was like, great, so let's make one more problem. I couldn't get the intestines to work for me the first time, which I thought was a great idea. And then it turned, because I wanted cotton originally. I wanted like that cotton strip that you put like here and stuff like that. And then I was just going to color it red. We couldn't find any of that. I don't know if it's like small town, like you can't find any of that or what the deal is. But we're supposed to be getting an Ulta Beauty, so maybe at some point I'll be able to get one of the, I say we, but it's literally Brenham, which is half an hour from here. It's where we have to drive to go to the grocery store. But anyway, so eventually I might be able to get some of that cotton strip stuff. But anyway, so Shunning of Disciples, he is holding intestine. And basically what I had done was I just reproduced it several different times and placed it so that it was like oozing from him. And yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. And I want to make sure that all of the covers for the Disciples series all basically have like the same colors and tones to them. So it kind of gives it that same ominous thing, right? And then of course you've got number 1 and number 2. So there's that. It's kind of exciting. I'm so happy. And of course, both of them on the back of them, both books have the order. So you'll always know what order the books go in. And that's because I have had people ask me about the Affair series in the order that they go in. And there's a reason for the order that they go in. Like Fundamental Affair, which is the 3rd book, is technically a prequel. So it's like her backstory as a child. And you can read it first if you want. The only thing is, though, is that there's characters mentioned in it from her past that are brought up again in the last book. That's why it's third and not first, if that makes sense. So there you go. But anyway, I now have 3 books to my cult series. The last 2 are coming out next year. As a matter of fact, the Mutiny of Disciples is with my beta readers. So that is the next one, is Mutiny of Disciples. That one's with my beta readers. I will be taking photos for the book cover here soon. So that is going to happen. That is going to be a lot of separate pictures and pulling different things and putting it together, and just to give it that, essence, which is a lot. I'm so excited for this cover because it's going to show exactly how artistic I can be with the covers and stuff like that. Like, this one was basic, right? So I've only got like this little group of bricks, essentially. And all I did was just duplicate it to make the wall for the City of Disciples. So I feel like that one was kind of simple. And then this one here, it's just my husband on his knees with the, intestine and stuff like that there, that I just duplicated and put on there over and over and over again. So I feel like that one was kind of simple. But like the next one is literally going to be like 2 pictures, and part of this picture and part of this picture are going to be put together like on top of each other type of thing. And then these 2 pictures, now I'm going to take this one and put those on top of each other. You know what I mean? And then the whole thing with this and this is going to end up going together on the cover. And it's an entire elaborate theme that I'm trying to get into. So I have a lot of different pictures that I have to take. So I'm gonna start taking those pictures now, because Mutiny of Disciples will be published sometime near the end of January, beginning of February. So that's coming up soon. So then, after Mutiny is disbanding, and then that's the last one that's going to go out next year as well. And then of course you won't see anything again from me until 2025, which will be Roadkill Cafe. I do have several books already finished that are sitting in my editing file here. And as soon as, let's see, I'm going to have 2 more that are going to go there before I actually start editing another one of those. So there might be 3. No, it's going to be 3 more. There's going to be 3 more before I take Roadkill Cafe out of there. And yeah. Okay, there you go. So that's how that's going to go. Yay. I'm so excited for that. But anyway, yeah, Roadkill Cafe is not going to be published until 2025. And that's just to give me time to decompress from trying to get these books out as fast as I possibly can, because I am writing a book a month. I have already written, Roadkill Cafe, Citizen's Assassin. I just finished another one. I'm writing another one now. And then I'll have another one in December. So I'm fast tracking all of these books to write them out so that I can have everything done up to 2030. So I'll have every book that's, published or ready to be published up through 2030 written. And yeah, and it's going to be a whole thing. I'm excited because I'm able to stay on track. So that's good. But anyway, that is all I had for you. There are now 3 books out in my cult series, and you can always tell exactly which one they go to. Oh, and a lot of people have asked, that's in the wrong order. A lot of people have asked, and I have had this, do you have to read this one before you read this one? And it's like, I suggest you read this one because this is where you get all of your rules and, basically what you're supposed to follow while you're in the cult. You get to learn who the leader is as a person and his connected partner and everything else. And then this is where they actually start gathering the followers for the cult. So this is where they start gathering their disciples. So that is how that works. So I would recommend getting the Disciples Doctrine first. Like I said, it's a very short read. You don't even have to go through and read the prayers and ceremonies in the back. Anytime it's mentioned in one of the books, I literally go through the actual prayer in the book. I go through the actual ceremony in the book. So that is in there. So you don't have to read the prayers and ceremonies that are in the back of this. But the story that is in this is essentially probably the best way to actually start it. And I always say it's their Bible. It's their Bible. It sort of is, but it's still a story. You know, it's not as corny as I don't want to say corny. Don't quote me on that one. It's got a lot of information that is actually necessary for the books, for the series, if that makes sense. It's got a lot of necessary information. It just has to be done. That's just how it is. Sorry. I've had a beta reader because the original version of Disciples Doctrine, when I sent it to my editor, she said, hey, by the way, can we do this instead? And it literally took me a full week to completely rewrite the entire thing. And because I already had most of the information out, it was so much easier. And when my editor came back with the idea, I was like, oh, I can do that, because I wasn't sure about it when I first did it anyway. And I'm sorry, the sun is like going behind trees or something. I just realized it got really dark. But anyway, so when my editor came back with this specific idea to do it a different way, I was like, oh, yes, I can. Took me a week to completely rewrite it. I sent it back to my editor, and my editor was like, perfect, go. And I'm like, yes, okay. So now I have a beta reader who never actually got it, because when the beta readers got it and then got it back to me, and then I went through it and then I sent it to my editor is the one who came back and said, hey, do it like this instead. And I was like, oh, yes. And then when I sent it back, and she was like, do it. That's it. And I'm like, cool, awesome. So my beta reader, and I only say one because she's the only one who hasn't received her copy yet of it. I still have it here. And that's because for some reason our paths haven't crossed yet, and I keep wanting to give her her copy. But anyway, so I still have her copy of the Disciples Doctrine. So when she went through this, she was kind of confused, and she was like, I feel like I'm missing something. And I said, well, I have your copy of the Disciples Doctrine. And she was like, okay. And then she started going through this, and she was like, I really feel like I'm missing something. I really need those other two books. And I was like, yes, you do. Because it literally, my books all go together. And that's one of my issues with writing series, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's one of my issues with that. And that's why all the rest of my books after my cult series are all going to be single titles. I even have the holiday collection that I've talked about, which is one book a month that will be published through the entire year of 2030, for each holiday of each month. So each one of those is a single title. It is essentially a single title book. They don't connect. But my series books, the Affair series, my cult series, they all connect. You have to read one in order to understand the next one, if that makes sense. I did that on purpose. Then my mother has said that, my Affair series, they could be read separately if you wanted to. And I'm like, okay, but where one book ends, the next one begins. It flows into it. And I don't do a whole lot of flashbacks. Only because when I was taking my MFA class for creative writing, because let me tell you something, a Master of Fine Arts really means nothing. So don't do it, by the way. Don't spend your money on getting an MFA. So when I was taking my MFA class, I would do a lot of flashbacks or dream sequences or something like that. And the professor always told me, it's like, oh my God, could you stop doing the dreams? Can you stop doing the flashbacks? And I was like, but that's how you understand the story. And she actually had told me that it was outdated and you no longer need to do flashbacks or dream sequences. It's just ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, fine. So, and I remember being very frustrated because I read so many writers' reference books growing up. And yes, growing up. So, late 80s, early 90s, all the way through the 90s, even in the early 2000s, I was reading these writers' reference books because I wanted to write since I was 6, which is way back in the 80s. Okay. But I've been wanting to write since I was 6. So I would go to the bookstore and specifically go to the reference section where I could find these books to help me figure out how to write better. And a lot of them said dreams are a good way to understand a character, you know, their fears and things like that, especially when they're having nightmares and all kinds of other stuff. And it's like, cool, okay. And flashback sequences is where you get to understand their backstory and who they are as a person. And apparently it's outdated. I don't know. So yeah, when I was getting my MFA, my professor of creative writing, she did not like my stories. So I don't do a whole lot of flashback sequences or dream sequences. I mean, I know in the Affair series I did, but that was more of a, you know, screw you, lady kind of thing. In my Affair series, I do have a few dream sequences where, you know, she has this fear of everybody dying and stuff like that. So anyway, that's just how I go. So essentially, I don't do a lot of flashbacks. So there you go. Anyway, my books all are, they do need each other. And I thought that was the whole point in a series. They need each other. I understand standalones are great. And I have two standalones. But I will be writing all standalones from now through 2030. I don't know if I'm going to write any more series, only because of the fact that it seems like if the series isn't finished, most people won't buy it. And then I end up with, you know, a stock of books that are my new books and nobody wants to buy them. But my box set is selling of the Affair series, but I only have 8 left. So keep that in mind. Once the Affair series box set is gone, it is gone. There will be no more. Ooh, that came on out of nowhere. So there will be no more Affair series box sets. That's just it. I will not be making them anymore because my cult series will go into a box set. And then at some point, once my cult series goes through, if that one sells better, it's only because my Affair series box set doesn't sell. I mean, I can't really say it doesn't sell well because it does. It just doesn't sell a whole lot. And it would depend on like my cult series. I would have to sell 5 a year and not just 6 at one event. You know, that's what I mean by, you know, it doesn't really sell well. It's not that it doesn't sell well. It's the fact that I don't sell them on my website. I did sell one recently, so that was nice on my website. I was very excited about that. But like, it's the first one that's ever sold on my website. So that's number one. And then I've had events where I've sold one. Yay. And I've had events where people are all like, I just want the books. So they buy one of each book and not the box set, but one of each book is in the box set, but they don't want the extras. That's whatever. Anyway, maybe I'll do a smaller box set where it's just the 4 books and nothing else. And I'll probably end up doing that. And that's how that'll go. But my cult series box set will be coming up as soon as that's done. So Houston Horror Film Fest next year in August. I will get those dates. I do have them. I'm already signed up and ready to go to that. So Houston Horror Film Fest next year, 2024 in August, I will have cult series box sets available for that. There's not going to be any extras in it. It's literally just going to be the books. And that is because I cannot figure out extras to go with it. I literally have no idea. I don't want to do the notebook thing again because the publisher that I was using to do the notebooks for the Affair series, I don't want to pay the price for those. Yeah. I'm charging a price that I feel is comparable for the item itself, and they want to charge almost the exact same price for me to get that. So I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. There's no way. I'm not going to buy them. So as soon as At the end of the year, a lot of prices are going to be changing on my website and everything else, and I will be going onto there and completely discontinuing the Affair series notebook. So that will be gone. But I will have my own. That's going to go up there with my books too. Anyway, that is all I have. I just wanted to do a quick rant about the publisher being stupid at this point, and hopefully, like when I go to do the next 2 books, I'm going to order ARC copies and not a $35 proof, because I feel like the ARC copies might come through faster and cheaper. So I think I'm going to start doing that, and I'll let you know how that goes. But that's going to be for Mutiny. Anyway, that's all I have for you. I'll see you on Thursday, so make sure you're subscribed. I post new videos every Monday and Thursday. I've been pretty consistent on that, even though I haven't been consistent before. So I have figured out a schedule to do this. Yay for me. But anyway, I have been consistent. I publish videos Monday and Thursdays. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. And I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, bye.